Peace. So right now we're at Saving Our Babies, which is an independent school that's been around for the past 10 years. That school has been ran by the Queen Umi. She's been around the culture for the past like 10 years herself as well. And in that time frame, when she came to New York, she's been able to build and create a space for the children. It's serving through a K through 5 at the moment right now. And I've been working there since last summer, 2024. When I first got there, I was doing a music production program. So I was having the kids make beats on my laptop. I was showing them different instruments, how to arrange, how to compose, and also a little bit of mixing, but we didn't get into that much lately.
Peace. My name is Umi Nifa, Beautiful Earth. I got Knowledge Itself October 31st, 2010 in Atlanta, Georgia. Relocated here in New York City 13 years ago, but I got Knowledge Itself in Atlanta. My educator, Cee Allah, he's from New Jersey. He's the person who gave me my supreme mathematics, and that very year is when I took the teachings of the culture very seriously and knew that I wanted to implement them in my life. That very year that I did, start studying the lessons and got 120, I started a Lunar Cypher in Atlanta. I've always been drawn to working with children. And so I created a Lunar Cypher in Atlanta, Georgia as a single earth, just primarily pre-adolescent girls. We had group meetings weekly, and then it became monthly. And then I also was tutoring the gods and earths at a local library in Atlanta, Georgia for their GED testing. So I was building, and then I met my God online and decided to take that relationship seriously and ended up relocating permanently here to New York.
That's peace. So what made you want to start a school out here?
7 months after relocating to New York City, I was bearing life. And as a mother I already had adult children. I knew that I wanted to do this journey differently with having knowledge itself and, having a baby with a God. And we were going to do things a lot differently than the first time for he and I. So having adult children and having knowledge itself, I knew that I definitely wanted to homeschool. I knew I definitely wanted to not vaccinate and nurse and do all the beautiful holistic things as a mother that I really didn't get a chance to do as a younger mother. And so that journey with knowing that I wanted to do or be a different mother, kind of a mother this time, just kind of transitioned into a business. So knowing that I was going to homeschool and knowing that I was going to do things a lot differently, I began to teach my daughter at home and another sister that lived across the street. It was time for her to go back to work, and she had a little girl and needed care and asked me if I would be able to teach her alongside my daughter, and they were only 4 months apart. Then another sister who was an educator, she needed care, and so she brought her daughter to me, and I had 3 little girls in my apartment teaching them. Then another sister came. So now I got 4 children and I'm outgrowing my space. So I knew I needed to do something on a bigger level, on a wider scale. And so I created that. I went back to school and got my bachelor's degree. I ended up creating a nonprofit organization here in New York City, and created that nonprofit as an arts and cultural center with tax exempt status, with the educational initiative program, and then I was able to move out of my apartment with the children into a public space. So now I have my first actual classroom in a public space, and instead of the 4 children, I'm able to teach 7. So I ended up with a 250 square foot business suite that was at the bottom, the basement level of a tenement building. So there were other people who had businesses in these small little suites, and there was this bathroom down the hall that everyone was supposed to share, but I have children and we can't share a bathroom with adults that I don't know. So I created in that small classroom, which may have been about the size of the room that we're in now, a little small kitchen in the corner with a toaster oven and a little apartment fridge, and then a divider in that corner with 2 potty chairs and a portable sink that held 6 gallons of water for hand washing. And I taught those children for 2 years in that classroom. We outgrew that space. And now we're here in this space with 20 children and 4 classrooms and a full backyard and 2 floors and 2 bathrooms. And so the mission is definitely growing. The families are returning families. It's very difficult for me to even take new families now, according to the space that we have, because this, they want to keep coming back, and the children have actually grown with me. So children that my daughter was learning with at 4 years old, they're going to 6th grade next year. So that lets you see the intention behind the parents wanting this kind of an educational experience for their children, and how that's growing and it's actually working.
So what are some of the obstacles you might have faced in creating this space, like getting to here now?
I think it may have been more around the structuring of the philosophy and how I was going to execute that through a full-fledged core curriculum. That I had to be very creative and very intentional around what I knew I wanted our children to learn. And so that took a lot of time, and it was very laborious because at that time I didn't have the team that I have now. So I did a lot of building from that foundational, perspective, a lot on my own. So there was a lot of trial and error around trying to find curriculum that I felt was appropriate for our children, how to get around certain guidelines so that I could remain an independent, nation-building, sovereign-seeking space for our children to learn without being bombarded by the colonial system. I knew that I wanted to remain independent, so I've never taken a dime from the city, the state, or the federal government. So we have always remained independent, and that has definitely been my biggest challenge. And just around the structuring of the business and just how to create that educational philosophy that the parents will actually understand as well. What it means for our children to have the knowledge of themselves and be educated on a level of identity. There's no deeper way to learn about you and the world around you unless you have that understanding of who you are. And so to get children to know and understand that is a very important journey, because there's so many other distractions, and then you're contending against so much that takes away from them really truly having the true knowledge of themselves.
Okay. So from that standpoint, what impacts has your curriculum had on your kids and just the students overall?
So our curriculum, we have a lot that deals with our curriculum, and what I mean by that is we have a lot of concepts and a lot of values that we implement along with the core curriculum. So we have a huge philosophy that the children are learning to actually not just practice but live in a natural way, called Ubuntu. And Ubuntu is a Xhosa word that comes from South Africa that means I am because we are. And what that is teaching the children is I affect the whole. What I do affects everyone else. So I need to be responsible and accountable for myself, even if you're 4 or 5 years old, because it's going to affect our whole community. And them learning how it affects everyone just by your behavior or your, how you show up in the cipher. And so they're learning to actually internalize that and think that way, the Ubuntu way. That is a value that means that there's a connectivity that functions amongst us all, and we're all affected when that is not, on the right path, or what it means to have compassion for one another, how they are to, function and deal with one another. The society teaches, or not necessarily teaches, but normalizes when a child falls, then everybody cracks up laughing. Our children know to go and assist, support, and take care of each other.
So since you've seen the positive effects of what you have brought to the world, how would you compare that with what they're being taught in public schools?
So what they're being taught in regards to the sciences that we teach and the curriculum that you mentioned or asked about, having a knowledge of self means to know who you are, who your people are, what's the experiences that happen, what happened in our story, not his story, what happened in the past, which can dictate where we're going to go and what's actually happening now, and preparing our children for real life experiences and not just giving them something that appears to be something but actually what it is. And so we bring a realistic perspective to the teachings. You know, where we were in the past, how right now, you know, they learned about the civil rights era and how our people fought for freedom, justice, and equality. But there's a new climate now that's happening. That's a realistic climate. They hear the news. They have eyes. They have ears. They know that there's shootings happening amongst young people and things to that effect. And they know that this is something that's affecting their community, affecting their people. Therefore, how can they make that difference? You know, what is it that they can do to be, I call my group of children the generation of our future. They are the future now. And so they have to understand what their job is and what their impact will be, you know, just going forward. They need to know exactly what they need to be doing for things to be better.
So, like, how would you say that public schools can improve the system that they have now? Because I work in public schools, me personally.
Sometimes I see the public schools doing an okay job on certain things. I feel like the public schools is stepping it up when it comes to giving the history from a realer perspective than like the generation that I come from. You know, we got whitewash. We were blacked out by whitewash, if you will. Like, we did not get that real story about 1492 and Columbus sailing the ocean blue. We really thought that was a real thing. Our children now are being taught that he was a real pirate, you know, and that he didn't discover anything. So the public schools, sometimes I feel like, okay, they're doing okay, but then when it comes to certain things like celebrating pride and having a come out of the closet day for elementary school, it's just like, oh, damn, here's the major fail again, you know? So I do think that they're making an effort. However, you can't separate culture from education. You're going to have to, whatever our children or whatever setting, cipher, space they're in to learn, you're going to get someone's culture because it's in the curriculum. So they're not being taught critical thinking skills the way they need to be taught. They're not being taught the values of our proverbs that come from Africa, that 3-year-olds on the continent can break down and describe in its entirety and the purpose behind them. They're not being taught what it means to be communal. They're not being taught a lot of different things that we have that time and that space for. We have the desire to make sure that our children know and understand the value. Why do you go further if you have more people as opposed to going faster alone? Because of the resources, because of the ability to be able to build and share and give to one another to take you further along the journey. So that's a proverb. You know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So these are the things that our children are learning on an everyday basis, implementing, living out, not just practicing, which is, you know, contradicting to what the public schools are teaching.
Where it is for other independent schools, like people who want to do what you're doing now?
It takes clarity in your mission. It takes clarity in your philosophy, philosophically, because you have to give your programming some form of a brand. You have to give your programming some form of a subject matter or intention. And so you have to create that where it's clear and makes sense, because, you know, African perspective, you know, we could talk about that. What does that mean to the parent? They may be dealing with a science that is a more science, where they don't consider the word black to be the way that we consider it to be. However, so we have those conversations, and this is that sacred, safe space for those conversations, because they know they want maybe 99% of what we're, you know, offering, but they may see a difference in certain things. So we don't infringe on anyone's like belief systems or, you know, way of life. We teach from a universal perspective about the sciences of the world. And this is a world that we civilize. So if we're teaching about ancient Kemet, we're not worshiping any of those deities. We're talking about the principles that make sense and that are relevant and practical. you know, and they're learning about the sciences of all the things that, you know, they need to know about, but from a practical perspective, if you will.
Okay, that's pretty. So, like, what has this journey like taught you the most?
It taught me so many things on different levels, like from a personal level. It gives me verification and confirming that I'm supposed to be doing this work. I definitely know without a shadow of a doubt that I am on my purpose with the work that I'm doing because of the outcome. We have taught so many children that could not even recognize 3-letter words to leave our space reading on second, third grade levels in one traditional school year. So the outcome of the programming and just all the work that's put behind everything, I'm able to like see it really like manifesting and borning out like the baby that I was carrying for so long. And how it's making an impact on families, even when it comes to like us having adult education sessions for our parents, all type of workshops. Everyone is winning with a program like this. We just, you know, wish that we can get it out more to the world. We need spaces like this in every borough, and we need people to know about what we're doing here in this space for our children.
Can you build a little bit more about like the diversity, like when you was building the curriculum, right? And you saying how you had like a diverse, and like, you know, more may see things one way, and you know, different, because in Pan-Africanism, like it's like everybody that's African, right? But there's so many different cultures. How did you navigate that?
Pan-Africanism, it seems like it's getting like becoming like a novelty. And when I gained the knowledge of myself and truly knew and understood like how I wanted to live and show up as a woman, you know, in the wilderness of North America, and all the things that I knew that I was getting ready to be faced with doing the work that I knew I had to do. I knew that I wanted to be clear about terms that I use and be able to make sense of those terms. And that whole Pan-Africanism, when I first got knowledge of self, was a very deep, serious term that related to nationalism for me. Nationalism meaning, you know, more of it being like a ethical, racial nation of original people that are of African descent, and us nation building on a collective level with the main goal being self-determination. And that's really how I saw that, you know, one flag for that particular concept, that Pan-African flag created by the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, and that meant something to me. You know, I honor that flag just like I honor our flag as a 5%er, and because I understand it. The red, the black, and the green, what that means as original people. The red, the blood, the green, the land, the black, the skin. You know, it's very practical. So it wasn't a game for me. It wasn't a trend, and it wasn't like just some fad. That was really, you know, what I knew I wanted to, you know, make born, and what the teachings that I knew I was going to be able to execute and implement for my programs.
You said that, you know, this program is independent, and you know, some of your challenges dealing with, like, you know, the funding of it, like from the federal and state or city level. Yeah, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we're completely dependent on our private tuition paying parents. I have a tuition that the parents pay. We do have a sliding fee schedule for some of our parents, and every year I do an independent scholarship for one child to have free tuition for the whole year. And so that is like the most that we can do with the resources that we have, because you know, money makes those opportunities happen. And so being independent is a challenge, because I choose not to accept funding from certain entities, private fundings, potential donors that want to be consistent with us, you know, grants, sometimes I do answer those requests for proposals, and we do a lot of fundraising. So that is really what's kept keeping us operating. I had to step away from my director leadership duties to go and work a job to keep the school open. So now I'm no longer here on a full-time basis as of September of this school year, but I do have an assistant director in place who's doing an amazing job. I knew I needed to get more resources though so that we can remain open, so that's what I'm doing.
So the funding, like the city funding or the federal funding, because usually that comes with something else, right?
It does, and that comes with governing. It comes with dominance, and it comes with rules and values that I'm not in alignment with. So if I decided to get consistent funding from just let's say a municipal level, just the city of New York, and that means that now I have a relationship with the Department of Mental Health and Hygiene, and I have a relationship with the Department of Education, and I don't need that because I can govern myself. Our teachers are already trained. They're trained for, so I do use their tools for training. However, we govern ourselves accordingly. Our teachers have 5 hours of foundational health and safety that they have to get a certificate for. They have to do a 2-hour mandated reporter. They have to do their first aid and CPR. We have quarterly professional developments. We have community meetings with our parents. We have team meetings just for staff on every other Monday. So we're consistently in communication on how we can keep the school open, how we can continue with the fundraising endeavors every month. We do every month fundraising on our last quarter. So right now it's like heavy fundraising. We've been having a fundraiser every month. But that helps to take us into summer months because I don't have as many children in the summer. So I know that I have to do that, be very busy at the end of the year, school year, just to help out with summer. So now we know how to maneuver. We've been in existence for 10 years. The 15th of May was our 10th year anniversary as a nonprofit organization. So we're just, we're still building.
That's peace. So with Trump trying to dismantle the DOE, doesn't really have an effect on your program?
It doesn't in a negative sense. It would be more like an add-on because now the parents are calling us a lot. They're not happy with what's happening in the school systems. They're not happy with a lot of the diversity even. I know he's trying to get rid of the diversity, but even from a homosexual perspective, you got men in the public school system with full beards and dresses on teaching 4th grade. You know what I mean? So these are things that it is real. It is real. I'm in contact with educators, and I have students that come from our community schools here for after school programming. So we're not out of the loop. We know what's actually going on, which is what keeps us clear on what we know we're not going to do. So Trump, dismantling all that that we have basically, I just keep thinking about that museum that he is trying to close in DC. A whole 4 floors of Black American history that we have built is get ready to be gone. And so just to kind of pivot the conversation in your question, we're going to Washington, D.C. June 20th through the 22nd. We've been fundraising for that. We have a car wash next week that we are, trying to execute just so we can get to that museum before he closes it. There are no plans to close the Holocaust Museum next door to it. But our African American Museum with all of our artifacts from our building, from civil rights to chattel slavery to sharecropping to civil rights, all of that is going to go. So what Trump is doing is making an effort to get rid of everything that we have created, anything that exists for us. He just got rid of the Black lady who was a PhD, who was a librarian at the Library of Congress, and brought one of his lawyer friends in who was never a librarian before. So it's really to completely dismantle anything that has anything to do with Black people or people of color. So that is causing a bit of a hysteria with some of our, community parents, and they're calling, wanting information about our programming.
You want to let the viewers know about your fundraising and,
Yes.
and how they could get in, contribute and add on?
Sure. So we have a fundraising endeavor every month that I do share on Instagram. We have an Instagram account, Saving Our Babies Inc. And so we post those. We have a website, savingourbabies.org, and we post, events and things like that we're doing. But we would love volunteers. We're looking for educators to come in, seasoned educators, new educators, people who really have a drive to teach our children the truth. And any type of donors is certainly welcome. We always need supplies. We always need funds. We always need food. We always need all the things that keep a school functioning. And I really am looking for hands and hearts more than anything. We would love someone to come in and teach drumming with sticks. We have a djembe drummer that comes and teaches the children the traditional drumming, but there's so many other things that I would love for them to learn. We are set up as an arts and cultural program with an educational initiative program, meaning, our school. But we're set up as arts, and we need to strengthen our music program. We could use some drums. We could use some instruments. Someone who wants to come in once a month and teach guitar, teach Spanish, or any of the other languages. We're okay with that. We would love that. So volunteers is our main need, funding, of course, and just, people who really want to support what we're doing.
That's great. And the age range is from?
So right now we have a program. We are teaching 19 children this year, kindergarten through 5th grade. So that ranges from 4 years old to, my daughter's probably the oldest here, 11.
Okay. Anything else you want to add on before we conclude?
I started out with the pre-K, with the 3 little babies, the 4 little girls in my apartment. And now we're here with a full elementary school program. And I just think that we need to expand and have everybody back. I would love to have our preschoolers back, love to have a daycare, have our babies back, so that we are really, truly building an empire of education, and our children having the knowledge of self. We just need more space, and we just need more help. We just need more support and more assistance from the community that believes in this. And the history always speaks for itself. 10 years, a whole decade of building consistently, positivity. We are building our babies up. We are giving our children an opportunity to be the best global citizens that they can. And if it's just, planting that seed and most get what they need out of this, we're winning. So we just invite anyone who wants to add on to that, undertaking to, come, reach out to us, call us, and see how you could, add on to this journey.
Right, and they could reach you at, is it the Instagram?
Yes, they could reach us at our Instagram account, which is Saving Our Babies Inc. We have a website, savingourbabies.org. We have a phone number that I always forget, but it's on our website. You could Google Saving Our Babies and we'll pop right up. We're here in the heart of Bed-Stuy at 958 Lafayette Avenue. We are between Stuyvesant and Lewis in a storefront location. And come see us.
Thank you, Irv. Appreciate your time and adding on with us. I definitely want to, come back and I know that there's a lot more to unpack.
It's so much. We do so much.
When you upload the video, maybe whatever links that people could go to donate and add on.
I got that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got just a basic link for just donations.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a GoFundMe that I created 2 years ago that didn't do very well. We had a $10,000 goal. Maybe that was too ambitious, at the time of COVID and stuff, but we were really struggling. And so I created this $10,000 GoFundMe, and we may have gotten about $1,300. I had a whole fundraising event at a lounge over the summer with a DJ and everything. We probably got about $400. It's just like, it's hard to kind of get people, and you know, money's tight for everybody right now. You know, most people, you know, some people. I know a lot of people that got it. We got parents that got it. Those parents can pay the full tuition. But then we have some parents that run out of gas bringing their babies to me. I cash out parents, but so until they get paid. I have parents ask me if their children can spend a night at my house while they go out of the country. And I take them. They come to my house and they're in another country. I have parents call me on days that our calendar says that we're closed, begging me to open because they have nobody else, and I've done it. So it's just, yes, it's like you can't get away from being a community builder just because you say you want to do school. You got to take care of the people, you know, and you have to really genuinely care about the people. If you don't care, you ain't going to do it. People only do what they care about. So that even falls with the involvement with the parents. Every parent ain't all involved like they need to be, you know? And sometimes they have that public school mentality and we have to continually pull them in. Sometimes it's like herding cats. Grown people. You want this. You paying for this.
It's your children. They want to
check their backpack.
If you say a public school mentality, that's really...
It is, because we were dropped off in public school, and that's it. It's on the teacher. You know, I had a little bit of a different experience with a parochial education coming from a Roman Catholic background. My family was Roman Catholic. That's why when I woke up as the Sleeping Beauty, I flew away from organized religion because I saw what it did. Woo. We ain't even gonna talk about that. That's another conversation. But I knew that I would never ever go anywhere near it again when it came to like me living that. I respect it because I can see, you know, it can make some people like not be a complete savage. If that's what all you got is the black church or whatever, you know, cool. But I knew that where I was going and what I was gonna do and what I wanted children to, it was the only hope. Like, our children is the only hope we have. And a great portion of that is distorted. Look at these boys every single day. They are just shooting because they sat in front of the video game from 5 years old to 12 years old shooting, and it normalized that behavior. Now they out here on the street with a real gun, and it's nothing to take a life because the value of life means nothing, and the act of shooting is normalized. What other excuse? Can't we see it? It's very basic and very practical.
It's right in our faces.
And if you don't care, that's why I don't like people to say, I don't care. That bothers me. You shouldn't be an adult saying, I don't care.
Right.
I don't even think, even if it's somebody that you don't like or that then got on your nerves or you didn't got into it with, you should still care. Even in mosques and NOI, the women are taught they are never to discuss another woman's business if she's not present. See, there's different values, but that comes from care. You understand? They're even taught in the mosque that if you and your sister have an issue, you go harder with your love. We will throw your ass away in a minute because we don't have that value. We say, I don't care. She did me dirty. She did this and that. You still recording?
Yeah,
I didn't say profanity.
I'll call out.
Yes, and you know, it's like, you know, we often say that, you know, I don't care. We give up on each other and we throw each other away, and we're not disposable. We need each other. I apologize. Can we go to the table and talk? We call it mbongi. We have to have an mbongi. That means a collective cipher. The children have them, and they tell the teachers what they don't like. The teachers talk to them and tell them, don't we? Tell them we have it, and they be like, well, you know, they get a chance to share, and then we talk about our expectations on them. Children aren't given critical thinking skills or the opportunities to be accountable and responsible. Parents are doing everything for these children. That's why my 36-year-old son knew how to fry chicken when he was 11. You have to come home from school and take care of things. You don't just sit in front of a TV and do nothing. You don't hang out and sleep until 1 p.m. on a Saturday. You know, there's no responsibility. There's no chores. Do the children really ask them that next Friday, wives? Which one of y'all got chores? Tell me what you do during your chore time. And just see what responses that you get. They might have to pick stuff up off their bedroom floors. But there's no real accountability. My daughter's 11, and I realized that I needed to give her more responsibility. So last week, I put 10 bags of groceries on the floor when we came back from the supermarket. But I realized that I needed to kind of dictate where the food needed to go. I'm not just going to expect her because she's able-bodied and she's brilliant and 11. She needs to know where our things actually go. And I didn't show her that. So I'm like, let me kind of, orchestrate this and show her. So I don't have to, be mad at her for putting something where it doesn't belong. You have to show them. You have to teach them. You have to take time out to teach them something new often. It's just not on the school system. We have a responsibility as parents, as caregivers, as aunties. Even when it comes to the black family, the dynamic is so different because our families are so separated. We grew up with the auntie in the house that you had to go talk to. Go talk to your uncle about such and such. Call your grandmother and tell her happy birthday. Don't forget, your sister needs such and such. Where's the family? Everything's so individualized. So now the children are so individualized. We came outside with one ball, 10 children. We all played the game. Everybody need their own ball now. So you got to think about what's happening with the children and why. That's critical thinking. That's being accountable and responsible.
I was reading this book and it was saying that the more the adequate responsibility and accountability you give to children, the more you build self-esteem. And when you don't help them or give them adequate responsibility, it stifles their growth and development. It makes them insecure because they don't really have the time to show and prove that they're capable for their own selves.
Now they scared, or now they feel like they can't, or now they feel incapable or incapable, and then that goes on into adulthood. Now you got a 40-year-old trying to unlearn the toxicity, doing shadow work, need a little therapy, knowledge of self. You know what I mean? Where if we at this foundational level,
they grow up with it.
Yeah, right.
That's it. And we got brother-wise supremes that come through and give that, that God energy, letting our young gods know and see that this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Did you think that through? Why did you say that? And that coming from a man, as opposed to all this maternal energy that's in the space all day. I look forward to seeing him on the camera, come through and be walking around in the space and talking and engaging the children, sitting over there playing chess with them. And that warms my heart, and it lets me know, people still care. They really do. I'm not giving him what he deserves, pay-wise. He's doing it because he cares. He's coming on public transportation. He's a student. He's a coach. He's got a life. But he is consistent, and he's here every week. He cleans, he builds, he teaches, he nurtures, he gets snack. What y'all need. He's hands-on. And that's what we need more of, especially from the brothers.
That made me think, I know somebody who plays guitar, and he's part of some system where he teaches kids for free. I'll reach out to him and see if this is something, like you said, with the music, and just because I know a lot of people who do play different instruments, and reach out and see their availability and will they be even willing to somehow add on.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we're asking for, though. We're just looking for people who, just people say it. What can I do? How can I add on? How can I assist and support? And then, you give it to them, and then it's like the asteroid fizzles out, and it's, but his it. He's been here since the beginning. He came to me. I didn't even have to ask him, what can I do? And been here ever since. So that's honorable to me, So a lot of people have a good intention, I really would like to help and support, but then life starts lifing, and then it kind of just goes away. So we need consistency, and we need committed people that, really want to work with the children. Everybody doesn't want to work with the youth. You know, they feel like that. First of all, it's laborious. It does require a lot of your life force energy, and it takes a lot. And because of behaviors, you know, sometimes people don't have the tolerance for the behaviors. We have children that have a lot of, I'm not even going to say a lot. We have a few that we have had in our care that may have some social issues, you know, that need to be here. This is a space for them. This is a space for those children that may not be as productive in a public school or charter school setting, you know, but you in a classroom with 7 people. Your second grade is 7, I think, 7 children. 3rd through 5th grade is 4 students downstairs. We're going to take a tour. We got time to meet you where you are and give you what you need and slow down. Let's talk. Let's problem solve. Let's go deep to the deep places and see, why did you have that? And what was that outburst about? And where did that come from? And what did that mean? And you know, what can we do to have a better outcome? You really can't get that when you jammed into a classroom with 27 other children and you have a para and a teacher and you got 10 IEPs. You're not going to get the same outcome. So this is that special sacred space where we can meet the children where they are based on the need that they have. If they have a little social quirky thing going on, we can really sit with them and counsel a little bit longer. You know, have more meetings with the parent to see how we could get a better, you know, flow with the child as a community. Let's deal with this as a family. You know, that's kind of hard to build when you're in these different settings. So that's the advantage.
Well, peace. You want to give us a tour?
Yeah, we could do a tour. So this is our biggest classroom where our 1st and 2nd graders are taught in this space. This is our freedom fighter wall that we have been creating for the past 10 years. And our 1st and 2nd graders are taught in this room. This is our office for myself and my assistant director. We have a bearded dragon. That's our school mascot, Trixie. And this is our cozy corner. Some of the children might come in and need to be handled with care, or they may be having some form of a meltdown or just need to be counseled and loved on. So this is the space for them. We have one bathroom here that the children use only. We do not share bathroom space with the adults. And this is our security closet. This is our kitchen. This is where our meals are made. And this is our kindergarten room. We have 4 students in our kindergarten class. So this is our staff bathroom.
This here is African. As you can see, we have all type of pictures. The Egyptian, we talk about Africa, we talk about everything about who they are, you know, about our black ancestors and how we get here. So we speak the language, the greetings coming in and out. This is our couch where they can sit down, be cozy, and pulls out to a bed. But as you can see, Okona Now Homeschool Collectors is exactly what it is. And it deals with our babies being homeschooled, no forced vaccination, everything is proper, even their diets is a plant-based diet where they eat the meals. We give them breakfast and we give them lunch. And on Fridays, they bring their own lunch. And this is what it is. And the TV here is for teaching. This is for 5th graders, a Conanon. And as you can see, it's 4 students, but right now only 3, yeah, it's 4. The other one's coming back. So we have 4 that right now, 5th graders, they're about to graduate in the end of June. And this is their area, okay? The 10 and 11-year-olds. It's our TV too. So the classes, they're usually from the laptop, you put it on the screen so they can see it. Our printer, again, more of our black leaders, ancestors, past and present. We do apologize for all this. But
It's
yeah,
okay, it's
and we have our books and stuff like that. And so as you come up, you can see all the powerful words right here and on the walls. And this is our beautiful Saving Our Baby school. This is the best one. We do a lot of things. We take them on great trips.
Every month.
Virtual reality trips. They went to, just recently, went to Shirley Chisholm Park where they was able to see little fishes and eels and thing in water. They had such a great time. Statue of Liberty, we went and took them to. What else they do? They do, what was the other trips we had took them to, Queen?
Oh, they've been to the African burial grounds.
They go to-
have been to.
They go to the library twice a month.
Yes, once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month they're at the library.
Mhm.
So we have a van service that
Yeah.
takes the children on trips monthly.
And they pick them up for rites of passage. They have
rites of
Wednesdays.
passage. So
It's a lot that they offer and we give them to see themselves again. And also in the morning time, they meditate in the morning time. They also do a dance, a speech. If you get this right here, we do the Ubuntu Pedagogy where they say all these words and what the meanings are. And we go through the words of Kwanzaa, the meanings of Kwanzaa every day. Umoja, all the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, they go around in the corner and they dance and they chant it and they tell you everything about how proud they are of being black and all our leaders. So it's really, really rewarding. You see the energy come alive in them. They may be a little tired when they come in here, but then once they get into the circle, they brighten up and they're alive. It's really, really beautiful. And Sister Aria, like right here, if you can see, we're doing a little thing with the caterpillars, and they're gonna branch out to be butterflies. So we're doing this, and as you can see, they already cocooning. So we do little things like that. We got little plants over here where they doing vegetables, growing vegetables out the cups over here. So it's so much things they're doing. Arts and crafts. We have one of the mothers that teach arts and crafts, all types of the art you see on the wall is from Mama Jessica teaching them different parts of art. Even molding it, painting it, everything, designing it. She's really great as well. And drums. We have someone that comes in and play drums. What's his name, sis?
Baba Raphael.
He comes to play and
So Baba Raphael,
we teach, they play drums too, so they have a drum. They hear the sounds, the echo sounds of our people when he comes in here and he plays for them, and they sit there and listen, dance to it and everything. This is one of the best parts. They love it too. Sometimes we have to tell them to stop hitting the drums, but they love them. Yeah, they
Baba
do.
Raphael has been with us for the entire 10 years that we've been existing. He has a beautiful program called Drum Rhythmatics. And what he does is he teaches the children how to spell, how to count, how to, add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and spell by using different slaps and tones of the drum. And so you should see them really execute this program. They really understand it.
Wow.
And it's teaching them mathematics and it's teaching them spelling.
She also has cameras in the school where she's able to watch it and watch over her babies, the activity, anything. She has a camera outside so we can see who comes in the door. And also, they don't get let in unless one of the adults open the door. The children doesn't open the door at all. It's all about safety first, and we're very protective of our babies. And once you come in, as you can see, you have to take your shoes off because this is a sacred area, a blessed area, and we leave all that negative outside that line. So when you come in here, it's your positive energy, your positive energy that brings it here and makes us all safe and sound. So she can see the cameras there, and she has mad toys. We have toys, paints, all types of, as you can see, even instruments for them to play with, toys, chess, which I teach, crocheting. It's a lot right now. It does look like kind of messy right now, but we do apologize for that. But yeah, all this is for them they can play anything and always be a variety of things to do. It's not everything the same thing. It's always something different. And they come together and I think that's about it. They really, really are a bunch of beautiful kids. They're very, very intelligent. They support each other. They're very loving. We just recently had a Teacher Appreciation Week where they was able to express to us how much they love how we teach them and how much we care for them and that they appreciate coming to the school and that it makes a difference. So we love it. We love it.
Thanks.
Finally, Mecca. Me. My turn. Peace. One of our major components of our programming is our literacy program. Our literacy program is modeled off of the Marva Collins approach. The Marva Collins approach comes from an educator named Marva Collins, who was an educator with the Department of Education for the city of Chicago back in the 80s. She was able to see that black children in the city of Chicago were not learning literacy appropriately. And so she left the DOE and created a school in her home, which is what I did. I was, she's my shero. And so she created this school in her home, and she began to teach children in her community phonics, heavy phonics. And that's something that we were able to see taken out of the school system, and other European models were implemented in its place, like whole word concept or Montessori. And these were the things that took away from that heavy phonics that I was taught in the 70s. So it had such a negative effect on our children, especially through the pandemic, where we were seeing children, 90%, 89% of our children were reading below grade level. And I, as an educator and leadership position, and seeing the effects of hybrid teaching, online teaching over the pandemic and how it affected our children even in a worse way, I went into full gear to research the Marva Collins approach and realized that it was still being taught. So I reached out to a professor of literacy at the University of Florida named Dr. Alicia Blackwood, who was also a sister friend of mine from Atlanta, Georgia, and she began to teach me how to teach my teachers how to teach literacy to our children. And I invested in that over a summer, and our teachers were brought in for workshops, and they learned how to teach our children based on the Marva Collins approach. There's cards and material and resources that are still available that shows how to teach your child according to that phonetic-based concept. And it's just basically a dying art now. She is an ancestor, I think, of about 9 years. She was offered the position to be the Secretary of Education by 3 different presidents of the United States, where she declined because she wanted to stay in community and wanted to stay teaching our children in our community and our disenfranchised communities. And so we use her concept. We use her materials, we use her style of teaching literacy, and it has borne remarkable results in our children's ability to read and learn how to read. The sounds of the words, knowing that every vowel is a syllable, the science of literacy is what we teach here. And so that has been remarkable. It's been something that we have been able to see great results from, and we will continue teaching that, and that is a major brand in our programming. A lot of the times, like, we think that we are teaching our children how to read, where there's even letter sounds that we're mispronouncing. You know, you have to really know how to pronounce each letter, and there's a science to it. There's a free movie on YouTube about Marva Collins' life, played by Cicely Tyson. The husband is played by Morgan Freeman. It's a movie that was created, in the late 80s, and it's on YouTube for free. There is also a 2020 interview that was conducted for her, where she's live in the classroom with her students doing the songs and the different rituals and how they are to retain the information to read, to learn how to read. And her students that were in that interview during that time in the 80s, when they were just in 4th and 5th grade, it showed a different segment of them now today and who they are: congressmen, lawyers and attorneys, people really truly productive in the city of Chicago. So her work was remarkable. And just to see Cicely Tyson played her, that already lets you know that this is a serious. Marva Collins. This is called Marva Collins. The Marva Collins story. The Marva Collins story, free. You can watch that tonight. And it's great, you know. Anytime you see Cicely Tyson, you know this is real. Morgan Freeman was her husband, you know. So that lets you know that wasn't a game. And we taught our teachers, like, I had to invest that money into getting, just because we are sister friends, you know, she's still a professional. She still teaches teachers how to teach literacy. And I had to invest in that for our teachers so they could really know and understand how to teach children to read, children to enunciate, how to stand up and speak. You know, it's more than just reading words on a page. We built this whole country, and
there would be no country without.
No.
And everything we utilize is done by an original woman, original man.
Everything
The
from
soles of our
yoga
shoes,
to
the toilet bowl,
everything
was created by us. And we utilize it every day, and we are so, like, nobody's not aware of it. They think it's someone else, but everyone, they create that, the helicopter, okay, that little light thing. It wasn't Thomas Edison, the little black thing was what a black man did that.
He just
you know, say that's it, you know. So we have a part in the whole structure of building the planet Earth. And as you can see, we are the Earth, and knowledge of self makes us the greatest part as well with the babies, because we create the babies. You see, so at the end of the day, it's they have a part of us, they got a part of you, and this is what makes us bigger and greater than any nation. To me, I'm gonna give my nation all props. Bottom line, we are. It has saved. I know mathematics. I have 4 sons, and not one of them see the jail cell. Not one of them, and they are grown men to this day. And I'm gonna tell you why? Because of mathematics. The culture of the 5% nation all day. And that's what it was. And they are now walking and building their families and their lives and how they want to be out here building as being God, you know. So it's all about that. It's all about recognizing, even in the house, it's all you saw is black art. It wasn't a white man's face on that wall. They got to see a reflection of themselves. But I get them confused. How you going to idolize something that's not part of you? Especially not when we made them up, you know what I'm saying? We created that worst part. But at the end of the day, why are we going to do that? So they have to see a reflection of them. When it's that black woman, that black man, with the strength, when, you know, art, sitting down there doing some here. Omi has beautiful art. It's all about them seeing a reflection of themselves so they know, that's me. That's what I'm about.
Be proud.
Yes,
the
that's
names,
grandma. That's
Mother
mommy,
Eye
that's
Quality.
daddy.
That's
You know
not
what
a
I'm
weird name to them. Why Supreme? That's not a weird name to them. Hey Roo. That's not a weird name to them. Locks in Africa and what it means to be original. Not just learning about Africa. It's the space. It's beautiful.
To actually feel and interact with that energy.
Yes.
Like, that's one of the main things that stirred me away from Christianity, because a lot of the books I was given, like the picture books, it was white people. You feel me? So my thing was just like, where are we at? Are we just the sinners? You know what I'm saying?
That's how that's how somebody would think if they don't see a representation of themselves.
There you go. Exactly.
So like, I remember, like, the first school I ever worked at, like 2 years ago now, basically, I had told him that black people are the original people, but I was just building, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking this is already common knowledge, but he was like, I thought the white man came first. You know what I'm saying? So when he told me that, it's like, dang, it's like, even though I might be used to this idea of, you know, us being original, that's not common knowledge for today's youth. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, I have an aunt who lives in DC, and it's funny because she works at a predominantly white school, but she's very Afrocentric and she be showing me, like, she'll make the tie-dye shirts, and she would teach them about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, but she showed me like a collage she made them make with more recent black people, like what's the lady who she won the Olympics, Simone Biles, like more recent people, because if you keep showing them just the old people, it's make it seem like we don't do nothing now. So I kind of thought about that too. I like that, you know.
Yeah, that's very, very
More
good.
than now and then, right?
Yeah.
We have to show and prove it. That's right. Knowledge upon going back to knowledge all day. Let's add it to what? A cipher. We have to make it tangible. We have to re-show it over and over again. Get in their mind. Let them think about. Don't forget about it. Because
It just has to be normalized, and it has to be a way of life as well. So what you are learning alongside, you know, how you are to conduct yourselves and everything in the home, what the parents are doing, it has to be in alignment with what we're doing here. Or it's a complete contradiction and a waste of their time and money. So those are real important meetings that we have to have initially, especially when we're bringing in new families, that they have to understand that philosophy.
Have you ever had like pushback from any other parents about certain other things that you guys promote or teach?
We have a recent pushback that maybe we can't, maybe we shouldn't at this point consider it a pushback. But we do have like a family that is dealing with a new science, right? And this new science has taken them into the study of the indigenous people before the Europeans came, more like in the Olmec concept of America. So now and understanding changes in time, you know, so now their concept on what it means to be indigenous and original isn't African anymore. So, and that's okay. So now they're not really subscribing to this whole Pan-African or African-centered or what it means to be African of African descent, because now we're just prioritizing it to one space, right? So we get it, you know, but we're still original. It doesn't matter. We circumvented the whole entire planet before it was recorded. So I get it, but we might not want the child to not think that she isn't still of African descent. You know what I mean? So we gotta also meet our families where they are in their understanding and what they study, because we're supposed to continue to study. It don't just stop at 120. 120 takes you into everything. So, you know, we respect that.
I was doing research on the origins of man, and basically was saying how.
I love that. There's a documentary. Did you watch it?
No. They did multiple. You know, it's not.
Oh. Okay, yeah, just period, the concept of the origin of man.
Yeah, and basically it was saying how like all modern humans we descended from people in Africa.
Yeah,
you know
yeah, that's like scientifically
to,
proven at this point.
People who came to America, they came from Africa. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
When I was first getting knowledge, I was required to read a book called The 7 Daughters of Eve. So, you know, we talked about getting knowledge of self later, and I got it later in life, so I had to do the whole new concept of fasting for the 3 days and doing all those things to build for, you know, my name and all those things. So I was required to read this book, 2 books I was required to read, Siddhartha and The 7 Daughters of Eve. And when I tell you those 2 books opened up my eyes, The 7 Daughters of Eve, The 7 Continents, resorting back to Africa, everybody that's on them other continents, scientifically proven. Siddhartha was about a Brahmin son, an Indian Brahmin who had a lot of money, and his son decided to go on his own journey to find his way in life. And he did all these things. He meditated, he stood in the rain, he begged for alms, all the different processes of being a Hindu, Buddhist, and finally realized at the end of the book that everything he was looking for was inside of himself. And that book was amazing for me. And I recommend anybody who you're teaching and get, you know, that you have any students that you have, definitely.
I've actually read it, and I think I told him to read it too.
That's your education. Right. Wow.
It's funny because in the interview we did, you brought up Siddhartha as well.
Right, exactly.
It's funny, I learned about Siddhartha from Asada's book, and then when she had got shot and she was in the hospital, one of the nurses gave her that book. So I was like, all the books that the nurses gave her, she said was really intentional. So that made me think, hey, we should read those books as well.
Yes. Yeah. And I just finished her biography.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. When I first came into, before I came to all this stuff, I was just telling the God that the first book I completed, because I really was a reader, you know what I'm saying? But the first book I completed was the autobiography of Malcolm X. And after I read that book, I knew I was destined to stand up for the black man, stand up for my black people, however way I did it. And then I sat there thinking about what I'm going to do, you know, because at Lunar Earth, also I was in a Catholic family too, you know what I'm saying? So I was, you know, drinking the blood of Jesus, eating the body of Christ. You don't know that it's cannibalism. Like, why would you do that? But you get so brainwashed and caught up in it, and beads, and I'm confessing my sins to a stranger. How he gonna save me and forgive me? So everything doesn't hit there because you're doing things according to your family saying to do it, and you're brainwashed, and the technology is so bad, right? So I sat there, read the Malcolm X, I'm like, oh my goodness. This is it. This is what I gotta do. I gotta do this. So the first thing I thought, I said, I want to be a Black Panther. So I was like, Dad, that's what I'm gonna be, a Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna follow. So I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Then I met my God. And then when I met the God, it was like, oh, that's my calling. That's where I belong at. I belong right here, which is still what I manifested and I want to be part of. You know, so anybody can come to me and I'm going to still stand up and show that the black man's God, regardless of whom or what, and the black woman is the earth. And this is what we are. We are the queen. We acknowledge God. And then we become the earth once we bear that life. But at the end of the day, it matters. I'll stand up for y'all. I'll give my life for y'all. The black man all day. No hesitation. But that's what y'all here for. Y'all have a job to do. And y'all been bitten with many stripes for decades and years and centuries. And now, if we can save just a portion of y'all so y'all can go on and carry it on to the next generation, that's what we're going to do. We got to sacrifice ourselves, and that's the bottom line. But yeah, that's how when I got knowledge of myself, that God told me who I was, it was over. There's nothing going back. It's never going back. And I don't like to hear brothers and sisters talk about, well, I did have knowledge before. How you had knowledge before, you can't forget that. Once you have knowledge before, you know the truth. That's what it is. Ain't no taking it back at all. It's there. You need to build on it. You might get swayed up, but don't never come back and say, oh, I did once before. Nah, I don't want to hear that. Because once you know the truth, ain't no more turning back. You know who you are. You know who you are. Stop it. Stop being afraid of that. You know what I'm saying? Having knowledge yourself is very scary, and not everybody can deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's one thing to know it, but it's one thing to uphold the responsibility and accountability and all everything else that comes with it,
That's
the good
right.
and the bad.
That's
you know?
right.
So
That's
I think sometimes some people are conscious of it, but like, nah, this. Instead of saying this is not for me, they find some type of delusion for themselves to rationalize why it isn't right.
Yeah, true indeed.
Sometimes that delusion might be religion.
Right.
True indeed,
Like,
exactly.
after, before I had got knowledge of self, I had read The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. And
A blind man.
and it really was blind.
Yes, he
Wait, he was
was.
blind?
Yes, Chancellor Williams.
I didn't know that.
He traveled Africa blind?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. I don't think he even mentioned it in the book.
John Henry Clark was blind as well.
He was?
Yes.
My brother. But basically, it took me a while to finish that book because it's a heavy read. And I had
It
to,
is a heavy read.
while I was reading it, I had to, look up who he was talking about, what these countries or where it's at. Because it didn't make sense until I actually
Seen it.
and I did other research around that. You feel me? And after I read that book, I really thought to myself, dang, we really fought tooth and nail just to survive.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Just
saying?
for survival.
And that's on one continent. Not even talking about Australia, not talking about Asia,
Right.
not talking about America. You feel me? Just on that one continent.
But one thing that stood out to me about that book was how when he said something, a couple of things. But one thing he was one thing that's been consistent with black people is something within us to remain to fall in line with the actual principles of civilization, and not civilization as technology or modernization, but how you treat people. But he also kind of touched on that's why certain things were allowed to happen in this, because we're so easy to forgive and be merciful to people. And even when he talked about the African religions, he said a lot of it really was more, we use that word religion, but it was more like a way of life, because they lived out all these principles. It wasn't something like in the Western world where how it's just you could say you believe whatever, but they just go around doing the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Yep.
What they call it, bigotry, they call it, what is the word they use, right?
Hypocrite?
Yeah.
Hypocrite,
Yeah,
yeah.
hypocrite.
Yeah.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.
I was thinking about
Yeah, come back.
what you said
Yeah.
about having knowledge of self, and you not having knowledge of self anymore. The true knowledge of self is really being able to identify who you are. It's about an identity. So if you don't really understand and can't see yourself and how you are God, you really don't have the knowledge of yourself. Just like what it means to be the earth. I know I'm not a planet.
That's right.
And I know and understand my function and my duty. I know my connection. I know my symbolism. I know my position in my universe that I'm in. I know that I have a cycle every 28 to 31 days, just like the rotation around the us. I have all the 3/4 water, 75% water in my body. There's a lot of symbolism in that. So if you're not making that true connection with who you are and who you say you are, and able to not just understand it, but know it for yourself, you're missing the whole element. A lot of gods can't really see themselves as God because they can't really connect and identify with it. Maybe it's just a distorted, mixed, diluted way that you got the definition of God. You know what I'm saying? And who you are. Yeah. Maybe you feel that there's some other abilities that are outside being a human in regards to being God. But now when we really see, let's be practical.
Yeah.
And let's really have that true understanding of what it does mean to be the original man of the planet Earth, the word, and what it requires. And it's a dramatic word. It's just a word. It's a word that means supreme being. So if you know you supreme, you know you first and foremost. You know you're original. If you a being, you know you a man. It's so simple. But people want to just make it so sensualized, if you will. And you don't even have to do that.
The whole point goes over their head.
Yeah.
So now you never really did have it. You never made the connection. Same with the women.
That's right.
A lot of times they don't want to let go of what they've been taught.
That's right.
It's like
Because they've been brainwashed.
And then they go back to what they were taught later because they get scared and want that fire insurance and go get baptized in their 50s.
Right.
So right.
Y'all want to take a picture?
Yeah.
How are you going to take a picture?
You must do your own research, as I did.
If Mecca did this.